Well, good morning, one and all. You're back here for the International GT Open Championship of 2025. We now touch down in Hockenheimring, Germany for round 3, and qualifying 1 about to get underway. And the story certainly shows after Spa, Levente Reves, enjoying his time in GT3 machinery, sits top of the championship and is partnered once again with Max Gertz after his phenomenal display back and our last visit to Spa-Francorchamps, where they managed to scoop up the Spa 500, and there were trials and tribulations right through the course of the race, especially for one Greystone GT McLaren 720S lineup team for James Kell and Dean McDonald, who looked to have the race home and host in the first stint, managing to accrue 15 seconds of delta. And there's the machine right now, suffered a power failure through the course of the first stint. Unfortunately, having to bring the car in, they were scrambling to work out what the problem was, but that lengthy first pit stop making them, well, lose out on 4 laps of race time, sank them right to the bottom of the classification, leaving then a lot of work to do before they headed back out on track. A race that I'm sure they'll be looking to try and recover from. They are very determined to win the championship this year, but losing out on that very, very important 500 race where double points was on offer is certainly going to hurt. But Levente Reves and his teammate Max Gertz on his debut start this season, his maiden start here in the International GT Open for the 2025 campaign, getting off to a perfect one. Reves now making it 2 wins out of the first 3 races that he's experienced so far this season. Of course, the first time he was with Matteo Cairoli back at Hungaroring and looking to take this championship further and deeper. 53 points he currently stands on, and he's ahead of reigning champions Christopher Haase and Simon Riker, who are 11 points away. It could all change once again, though. We are here at Hockenheimring. My name is George Morgan. Joining me back again in an International GT Open commentary box is Chris Stevens. Welcome back, Chris.
Thank you, George. Yes, it's really good to be back. I missed you guys over that weekend, and I missed Spa as well. What a fabulous circuit. But another one we're at here this weekend at the Hockenheimring, but a completely different challenge. So many technical sections. It's all about big braking and big traction around here, and quite a bit of housekeeping to get you on top of as well. If you have seen the news on the GT Open Instagram, gtopen.official, then you will have seen that we have a second Garage 59 car here this weekend. But if you haven't checked it in the last 24 hours, you might not have seen that there's been some swapping around between those 2 cars. So let's kick things off with the AM-entered car that Miguel Ramos and Mark Sampson usually drive. Well, Miguel Ramos, unfortunately, a bit unwell this weekend. So in his place is Alexander West, who was going to be in a Pro-Am entered car for this weekend with Tom Fleming. But to keep that car in the AM category, they've moved Alex over to the 188 car with Mark Sampson. So welcome back to the championship, Alex West. And then the car that Thomas Fleming was going to be is driving, was going to be with Alex West, the number 8 machine, now has Marvin Kirchhofer in that car as well, and he's doing this session as well. So that car has been moved from Pro-Am to Pro. Also, with Santalog also having to replace Michael Blanchimont, their bronze driver in that normally Pro-Am entered car for this weekend, and replacing him with Mathis Lismont, that car has also been moved to Pro. So we have 15 Pro entries for this weekend, 9 in Pro-Am and 5 in the AM category as well, for a total of 29 cars. Absolutely astonishing field we have out here as well. Of the Pro-Am runners, only 2 of them have got their pros in for this Q1 session. So that would be Aaron Walker in the number 6 Get Speed Mercedes, and also Dominic Baumann in the number 20 SBS Automotive Performance Mercedes. So expect them to be the Pro-Am cars that ruffle the feathers of the pro runners. But out there at the moment, we're on board here with Tom Leben in the Elite Motorsport Ferrari. Out there as well, Marvin Kirchhofer, Levente Reves, championship leader, Dean McDonald, another factory driver from McLaren, Zach Meakin in the Optimum Motorsports McLaren as well, Nicholas Cruton, the number 13 Motorpark Mercedes as well. Cole Bennett's qualifying the AF Corsa Ferrari, and so there's a real mix. Fabi Schiller is out there as well in the number 9 Bartone Bros Mercedes.
Yeah, well, we've got some wonderful talents out there on track, currently running on board with Tom Levin, as he now goes first fastest. But just to go back, and it's truly a remarkable story on Thomas Fleming's side. Certainly coming into this championship, entering GT3 competition in the, well, only just happening to join it in the last couple of years. It's some of his first experiences featuring in the Ferrari Challenge, and actually won the World Final back in 2023. Took part in the European Trofeo Pro, where he was a runner-up with 5 wins, and a couple with that 9 podiums, 4 pole positions as well, before entering the UK Championship last year and ushering in 2 wins and 2 pole positions as well. But also took part in the GT World Challenge Endurance Europe Sprint Silver Cup as well, coming 4th in that championship on his first appearance. 3 wins and 4 podiums. He could have won the championship had he actually not suffered a really bad crash, which left him with a pretty serious back injury. But then he came back, his first return after the back injury, taking the car to victory. So certainly shows what a vast talent he certainly is. So we're looking forward to seeing him back in the car, this time in an International GT Open Championship car here in the Garage 59 team McLaren 720S GT3, and coupled with Marvin Kirchhofer, they could be a real threat this weekend, as Kirchhofer himself goes fastest straight away with a 1:37.460. But from one McLaren to another, there was Greystone GT. We of course mentioned the story of them missing out on winning at Spa after that first stint when the car was brought into the pit lane. Of course, James Kell, taking that initial stint, did a miraculous job taking the car to the top before bringing the car in. He thought his job was done. He was about to take his helmet off, the gloves are off. Where was the car? It remained in the garage. He could not believe it. The team were rooting around, looking at every which way where the car may have shorted out. Eventually they discovered where the fault was. They've changed the battery ahead of this round here at Hockenheimring to give themselves a chance of completing this race at Hockenheim, and hopefully 2 races and bringing home maximum points. But we welcome back Fabian Schiller, purple now in the first sector as well, looking for a big middle sector to boot. Of course, Fabian Schiller, a serial winner here in the International GT Open historically. Of course, you may remember him partnering up with Al-Faisal Al-Zubair in previous seasons as well for the Almana Racing by GetSpeed. Well, he's remaining with GetSpeed once again and aligned with Anthony Bartone as he was last campaign as well, losing a little bit of time in the middle as Leventia Reves pops back into 5th fastest with McDonald 6th as Riker drops down to 7th. We see Schiller making his way out of the very tricky turn 9 section, out of turn 10. Now the fast entry coming into sector 3 proper now very shortly. Of course, there's plenty of cars rumbling through the stadium section at the moment. Got to be very cautious with some of the curbing. But out of turn 17, here comes Fabian Schiller. Well, a little bit of improvement, but certainly not enough to strike it in position on Kirchhofer. But 15 minutes and 30 to go. It's Kirchhofer, Levin, Schiller. That's your top 3.
Yeah, so remains 3rd fastest, just does Schiller, stuck behind the sister GetSpeed car of Marcelo Ramirez, and in 20th at the moment, his first season of GT3 racing. Schiller, who will be in 2 of the 24-hour races happening over the course of the next 3 weeks at the Nürburgring and Spa 24 hours. You'll find many of these drivers at all 3 of those events, a number of them taking part in the Road to Le Mans. Of course, Christopher Haase and Luca Ludwig are sharing a car at the Nürburgring 24 hours in a couple of weeks, and Simon Riker will be in the East Talent car as well, their first N24 as well, with GetSpeed also running several cars at Spa as well. So we're wishing them well over the course of the next 3 weeks. It's a very big month for endurance racing as we follow Dominic Baumann on Pro-Am provisional pole as it stands at 5th overall. Remember, he and Aaron Walker, the only pros in the Pro-Am category at the moment. Doesn't improve on that lap, but Baumann and his teammate Valentin Pierberg leading the Pro-Am standings going into this weekend after a win and 2 second-place finishes in the first 3 races of the season so far. Now, have we had a lap time that's been deleted that's shuffled the order a little bit because Baumann has been promoted there? And is that for Marcus Pavrud?
Yeah, it looks like Marcus Pavrud's been dropped down to 29th now by the looks of it, so it's now dropped into the rear of the field. Obviously still out there on circuit right now. Quite a few drivers in the pit lane. They're going to be very conscious of this weather, of course. It's featured right through the course of the weekend, and it did hit pretty hard late in the day yesterday, so drivers had an opportunity to head out on both dries and wet. But speaking to Mark Sampson, for example, many of the AM drivers not experiencing any dry running through the course of practice over the course of the weekend. So many of them going out late yesterday for the bronze test were experiencing in some vein a little bit of dry running, at least towards the bitter stage, but the rain was still very much on show out on track. So we'll have to wait and see whether that will become a factor through the course. We are expecting rain today. Obviously, there are plenty of clouds throughout, littering across the sky. Doesn't look as grey, though, as probably we would have expected right now, Chris.
The sun is just starting to break out a little bit, but yesterday was a horrible day for some track running because the weather was on and off all the time, and it was well, you either want it to be fully dry or fully wet. This horrible in-betweenness is just no good at all. So at the moment it is completely dry. We did have a very light smattering of rain during the Euro Formula qualifying just now. That's getting a bit busy, isn't it, down towards the penultimate corner. Laurent de Meus just trying to make way for Fabian Schiller as he builds up towards another lap. And sparks coming off of the get-speed paired machines heading through the Nord curve. Schiller with a chunk of curb down at turn 1. It is a big old sausage curb down at the apex of the first corner. And of course Schiller and Bartone third in the championship as it stands after their podium finish at the GT Open 500 at Spa. 2 podium finishes for that pairing, and Bartone as well will be racing in the Road to Le Mans next week along with Steve Jans. Now that is getting very busy down in the pit lane. Laurent de Meus hasn't even found his box. He's found an Elite Motorsport Ferrari there instead. But there is Tom Leben. Second fastest at the moment.
No concerns about the door this time. Obviously,
no, I did ask them about this actually. It's all sorted.
They fitted actually. It's pretty crazy. The fix. They've actually fitted like a Dubry clip on the inside underneath to stop the car from lifting out of the hinge. Because if you imagine it, all it is just basically a fold of, should we say, a fold of metal that basically pops down in a hole inside the door. But obviously, when you put the car on the jacks, you elevate it. Boom, door comes up as well. But obviously they've stopped that from happening fitting, basically drilling a hole, putting the Dubry clip in the side of the door just to stop it from being lifted out. So very technical when you think about it in many ways, as Libor Milotta makes his way back now towards the line after registering 2 personal bests in the first 2 sectors. That's 12th fastest now for Libor Milotta, the Czech crew. Of course, not the only Czech Audi R8 LMS team this weekend, because we've got a new one joining, Chris.
Yes, guest entry for this weekend is the number 22 Fullin race Audi with Petr Fullin and Yuri Navratil. The Czech all-bronze pairing, so they'll be racing in the AM category. And they were actually fastest in the bronze test yesterday as well. So we do have quite a rapid pairing out there that could disrupt some of the championship leaders. Although that being said, Michele Rugolo, top bronze driver at the moment, in 9th position overall, which is absolutely good going here. This is the Ferrari 488, the one 488 we still have on the grid, a Mertel Motorsport. Andrea Montemini staying aboard that car as he was in Spa with Luca Ludwig, and so that means that car remains a pro entry for this weekend.
Back again, Andrea Montemini, great to see him as well. Of course, competing in the International GT Open as always, as we ride back on board with Tom Leben, who once again returns here, coming through the final sector, now moving his way in towards the final 2 corners on this track, coming through turn 16 and 17 before kick-starting his next run. Of course, moving away from single-seater racing, Tom Leben into GT3 machinery, and got off to the perfect start in GT racing last year, winning the European Championship, and now coming back here this time around in the International GT Open, and I'm sure a star for the future, embracing the Ferrari 296 machinery again.
And although they haven't tested this car around this track before this weekend, both of the Toms have raced here, of course, in the GT4 Championship. So they know the circuit at the very least, they just need to adapt to the car. But it's it's been going incredibly well for them. I'm so impressed by this very young squad of GT4 graduates, Elite's first year with a GT3 car, and also it's not like they just hired a bunch of people who know GT3 racing. They're all learning it together. Well, they've been hiring from within for this program.
It's been a story of youngsters really this year, because we've also got to factor in Levente Reves, of course, our championship leader, moving in from single-seater machinery. He was only competing in the Euro Formula Open a season or so ago, and now jumping in for Motor Park again, obviously underneath the same banner where he was racing in single-seaters in the Euro Formula Open Championship with Motor Park. Now he's our championship leader, coming in here to Hockenheimring after 2 race wins in the first 3 races of the championship. Of course, the first one with Matteo Cairoli, and then joining up with Max Gertz, who will be with him for a majority of the season. Obviously, there may be some few misses due to the very busy schedule that Max Gertz, of course, is embracing this year. For instance, we've seen him competing in the realms of British GT as well through the course of this season so far. Well, so he could be yet, he may yet miss another round or two here.
Which championship isn't he racing in this year?
He's a busy man.
I think the only continent you won't find him on this year is Antarctica. It's astonishing the schedule that Mercedes have given him this year. So we may yet see another appearance for Matteo Cairoli in that car, but it is Max Gertz for this weekend. But it is Reves in the car for this session. Michele Rugolo here. Oh, big swap between the final 2 corners. Still the top bronze driver out there as it stands in 11th position overall. But I don't think that lap is going to be the one for him. And indeed it was not. But only 1.2 seconds off of Marvin Kirchhoffer's time, as we see again that big moment just tucked up behind the Tsunami Racing Team Porsche. Back with Tom Lebon here, who's gone fastest in the first sector. The Elite Motorsport Ferrari taking the fight to the Garage 59 McLaren that sits on provisional pole as it stands. Lebon up by just 85 thousandths of a second in the first sector. He weaves the 296 through the technical sections at 9, 10 and 11 back in towards the stadium section. It is a personal best. It's not the fastest we've seen, but it is a personal best for the young Brett, bouncing over the curves as we make our way back into the stadium section around the Sachs curve. Look how much he's wrestling with the steering wheel on the exit of the corner. So much feedback coming through the front wheels as well into these last couple of corners. Now very tricky off camber right-hander. Watch that curb on the left-hand side that Michele Rugolo was just wrestling it over. A little bit of oversteer. Is that going to be track limits on the left-hand side? We'll find out as he drives up towards the line, and he just misses out by 49 thousandths of a second.
Just inside half a tenth of our leader at the moment. Kirchhoffer, of course, sitting on provisional pole as it stands, as Marcus Pavarud pops into 4th fastest as well. There were a lot of drivers, Pavarud included, that had no idea what this weekend was going to provide in terms of weather, so they're all working on the fly to certainly find out as to what the optimal tyre will be in terms of going from dry to wet, but currently under dry conditions. It's Marvin Kirchhoffer, but Lebon putting a great fight in against Kirchhoffer at the moment.
Where has this pace from Santalot been all season?
Oh, incredible.
It's astonishing. They've not troubled really the front of the Pro-Am field.
Well, they're inside by half a second now.
And yeah, now suddenly they're only half a second away from a McLaren factory driver.
And it's a personal best again from Marcus Pavarud in the first sector, so it's not over yet. Robin Rogalski here for Oregon Team Lamborghini, unfortunately losing a lot of time in the final sector. Quite a bit of traffic starting to accumulate coming through those final corners, which I think is just setting back just a little bit. But now as we see yet more cars look at a thoroughfare their way across the line, we do, of course, like I said, have improvements on show from Marcus Pavarud. Green middle sector for Dean McDonald as well, and it's purple for Fabian Schiller inside the first sector. But here we go again. This is Pavarud, who's now coming through now into the stadium section, now around this next left-hander, back on the throttle again very soon, I'm sure. But first and foremost, just curtsying the car through. He is still in the green through the middle, still a little bit off though. Kirchhoffer, Dean McDonald pops into 3rd fastest, Aaron Walker into 10th as well. Schiller still purple in that first sector, and it's also a personal best for Marvin Kirchhoffer inside the first sector. Here comes Marcus Pavarud. He is just over a 10th and a half out in the middle, goes 2nd fastest now and just over 2.5 tenths away. But here comes Fabian Schiller now, Purple in the first sector, a monstrous gain in that first, but has lost so much in the middle. I can only imagine it must be that Olymp Racing Ferrari just behind that has just got in his way, perhaps. Not quite sure. It could be the case.
Yeah, he was trying to get around Christian Kozanowski, who's now fastest of the AM runners in 14th position overall, and the top bronze at the moment as well. So that's rather spoiled the lap for Schiller, but I'm really astonished by Pavarud, second fastest at the moment. Kirchhoff is on a flyer though. Personal best first sector, fastest in the middle sector as well. But yeah, Marcus Pavarud, we'll come back to that in a minute. Here comes Marvin Kirchhoff across the timing line in that number 8. No, he lost time in the final sector as well, but I'm truly staggered by Marcus Pavarud. So he's the regular driver in that number 26 Santaloc Audi. Silver class, yeah, silver class driver. It's a pro entry for this weekend because they have got Mathis Lismont replacing Blanchimont for this weekend. But I'm staggered. I'm absolutely staggered. Here is Dean MacDonald, who's got a personal best in the first sector. It's another purple first sector from Fabian Schiller, trying to recover that time he lost on the previous lap. But we'll stick with MacDonald here as he goes over the timing line. The Greystone GT McLaren does not improve, stays in fourth, fastest, and a big chunk of curb as well. But here is Fabian Schiller again. It's Kirchhoff, Pavarud, Lebon, MacDonald, and Schiller now in fifth position, flashing the lights already of the cars ahead of him because he's got Michele Rugolo, who's taken back provisional pole position while we were looking at all of that. And so he's making sure, hey, don't get in my way this time. I am on an absolute flyer, and there are quite a few cars that he's going to have to try and navigate. The BDR Grupo Prom Mercedes moving very slowly on the inside, heading into the stadium section. It's purple again for Schiller, but now into the Sachs curve, and it's all gone again for Schiller.
That's the frustration creeping in, obviously for good reason, obviously just getting caught up in some of the train. And this is exactly the point that many drivers are making. You've really got to time your run here in qualifying, and now with only 2 minutes to go, Schiller, it could be now or never here at this point. He might get actually a few seconds before the end just to get 2 laps to go. Schiller apparently has gone fastest after a purple final sector.
How?
I'm not sure how. Marvin Kirchhoff, though, has taken it back and immediately plunged yet another 2 or so tenths on top of Schiller this time around. A surprise moment, to say the least. It looks like he got held up as Dominic Baumann goes third fastest, highest of the Pro-Ams at the moment, and just under half a second away. Still more time to find. We're in the final minute and a half of the session, but Schiller, who looked, I have to say, to have that last lap, it looked cooked to me, but somehow, some way, managed to at least take P1, even for a short amount of time.
Yeah, that was, wow. That was really, really impressive from Fabi. That's why they pay him the big bucks. On board here with Dominic Baumann, who is now third overall in that Pro-Am entered SBS Mercedes, just on a personal best, a 1:37.690 on that previous lap, heading in towards the hairpin now as well. He's got one of the Motorpark cars just in front of him, but this lap so far isn't too much to shout about in the first sector. So it's Kirchhoff, Schiller, Baumann, Pavarud now shuffled down to fourth position, and Lebon in fifth, and McDonald now down in sixth position as well. Look at Luca Ludwig as well up there in the Mertel Ferrari up there in seventh place as well. This is Johannes Zelger in the Tsunami Racing Team Porsche. He's currently seventh in class, just goes over the timing line. 1 or 2 Porsches here this weekend. Big hop, skip and jump over the curbing, but I would suggest that is session done. Libor Milosa into the pits. He is the fastest Pro-Am runner with the bronze driver in for this session, third in class, but down in 19th overall. Peter Fullen has also come into pit lane. Artem Petrov, Carl Bennett and Luca Ludwig also into the box as well. And that is the provisional pole sitter Marvin Kirchhoff, who might have one more lap in him, but does he really need it? Quarter of a second ahead of Schiller at the moment. I'm just going to keep my eye on Schiller's sector times as the checkered flag does indeed come out. It's not an improvement from Schiller on this lap so far. So
personal best over Kirchhoff.
Yeah, so he's still really pushing out there. For Schiller, it might not be over completely just yet, so we will keep an eye on it. But yeah, Kirchhoff is still flying out there, and 0.02 of a second up on his own sector time. And so he exits the hairpin and just glides over that curb on the exit there that is supposed to help police track limits. Works for the single-seaters. It's not as much of a deterrent. Yeah, but look how close Schiller is, though. He's not far off
Not
at
far
all.
away.
Not far off at all. This is still game on between McLaren and Mercedes in this session.
One mistake and it can all fall apart. Kirchhofer now just losing a little bit of time in that middle sector, 21 thousandths off his current best time as he now makes his way coming through the final sector as well. There is Schiller, going to be between those two, but he has lost a considerable amount of time coming out of the sector 2 as well. They've got only a few corners remaining here before they close out qualifying. The checkered flag already out. We're already ticked to 0. Plenty of cars in the pits. Here comes Kirchhofer looking for a massive improvement coming out of the final as well to counteract the middle sector. Can he improve? No, not quite. Again, 20 thousandths off, matching that first sector loss in that final sector, but it will be provisional pole for now. It looks like it's almost certainly going to be pole for Marvin Kirchhofer with a 1:37.197 in his maiden weekend here in the International GT Open here in the 2025 campaign season. Welcome back, Garage 59. 2 cars strong this weekend, and Fabian Schiller coming home in second for Get Speed. Mercedes certainly not missing a step there either. It's going to be a very intriguing race when we come up later on this afternoon, and yet the weather could paint a different picture later on.
We have no idea what the weather's going to do we, George?
No.
So it could be anything that happens, but what a great day for Garage 59 so far.
Yeah, they've stuck their car on pole position with Marvin Kirchhofer announcing his arrival to the International GT Open with a 1:37.197 ahead of Fabian Schiller in second place for Get Speed Mercedes in their home racing weekend. Another team in their home race weekend is SPS Automotive Performance. Dominic Baumann, a stellar display, Pro-Am in third place. Marcus Pavarud in fourth for Santelot. Great result for the French team with Tom Leben in fifth for Elite Motorsport Ferrari. Dean McDonald in sixth, looking to return after a tricky Spa weekend, with Luca Ludwig in seventh for Mertel Motorsport. Fabulous qualifying session for Mertel in their home race as well. Carl Bennett down in 8th place for AF Course, and then comes Aaron Walker, then further down with Levente Reves, of course our championship leader, down in 10th place. Zach Meekin 11th, Artem Petrov in 12th as well, Simon Riker 13th, Michele Rugolo for AF Course in 14th, highest am, with Robin Rogalski in 15th for Oregon, Nicholas Cruton 16th, Christian Korzanowski in 17th, Alexander West in his maiden return since 2018 in 18th, Libor Milota then further down as well. Before then, we head towards Peter Fullan in 20th place. Lewis Michael Dorbecker 21st. Marcin Jedlinski 22nd. Hash in 23rd for Car Collection Porsche. Next up comes Heiko Neumann in 24th. Johannes Zelger in 25th. Dexter Muller in 26, Marcelo Ramirez, Lauren DeMeus, Alfredo Hernandez make up 27, 28 and 29 before we then that'll be the rest of the classification worked out. But the fastest lap going to Marvin Kirchhofer. Of course, plenty of fans flocking into the German grandstands here at Hockenheimring, and it will be Garage 59 on top of the shop as now silence now coats across the whole of Hockenheimring. The garages now going to work for their cars, but a stellar display from Kirchhofer in his first weekend, and I'm sure much to the delight of his teammate Thomas Fleming in his first start here in the GT Open this weekend as well, Chris.
Absolutely. I'm just thinking about how we've got all the championship contenders just been shuffled down because of these additional pro cars that we've got for this weekend. You know, we've got a guest entry up there at the front of the field. Fabian Schiller, of course, I imagine he'll be thinking about championship from second. And then, Tom Lebon in fifth, D. McDonald sixth. Championship leader, Levente Reves, down in 10th position in that session. So it's a real jumbled up grid as well. And just looking at Simon Riker as well, the East Talent have been telling me all season how their car is not performing how they'd like it to be. And I never really believed them because they keep finishing on the podium. But Riker at 13th at the moment. And in fairness, that car's never really liked these cooler conditions. But there is Marvin Kirchhofer, who got the call, what was it, last night? Thursday night, 10 p.m.
10 p.m. Thursday night. Yeah.
And he just happened to be here anyway because he was helping out Heiko Neumann with some prep.
Yeah, that's right. Of course, knows plenty of the International GT Open paddock as Marvin Kirchhofer, but a late call in the day, and I'm sure he's absolutely delighted with that. To arrive all of a sudden as Alfredo Filipponi, of course,
Just cornered him.
Just cornered him.
Stop walking up pit lane. Get back into the interview area.
Yeah, we need you to have a chat with Alfredo, but a truly marvellous performance for Garage 59. Now, as we said, 2 cars strong coming into this weekend. It's not just the 1, but 2 this time for the British team. As we now take a look at our pole sitter in the phenomenally coloured orange and blue, of course, familiar golf colours that we've seen time in, time out in motorsport. But, plenty of fans here joining us as well this weekend at Hockenheimring and enjoying the show that the GT3s are putting together, as well as the many cars that will be making their way around this circuit through the course of this weekend. We're truly spoilt for a grand selection of racing, and we'll be spoilt, I'm sure, for some fabulous races later on. Now standing by with Alfredo for an interview.
It's a difficult name, I know.
No, that's fine. Last minute arrival in the GT Open, but already at the top.
I'm super happy, I'm super pleased with the result. Garage 59 and McLaren, they've done an amazing job, provided me with a great car today. So really pleased with the result itself, and it's been a last minute call. I was luckily around this area, but I received a call Thursday evening at 10 p.m. that I need to replace Miguel, which straight away I want to send some speedy recovery wishes to Miguel. Hope he's going to be back soon.
And of course, you know the track inside out. How you see things for the rest of the weekend?
Well, yeah, it's a track I have really good memories racing many years ago in GP3, GP2, like the single-seater stuff, and I haven't been here for like 4 or 5 years, so it's been some time. The expectations are high for the race, as you can imagine, starting it from pole, so hopefully we can stay where we are.
Well done for the moment.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, we rolled out the red carpet for him, and he's taken pole position this weekend as well, but we'll wait and see what happens later on this afternoon. Do join us at 2 for the race. Until then, though, goodbye.